Hey guys, welcome to another video. Welcome to Kende Travel. If this is your first time here, welcome. This channel is all about family travel to Africa, and more specifically, I'm documenting our family's process of moving to the motherland. We are looking into Cameroon and Côte d'Ivoire. If you want to know more about why these two countries and why we're moving, make sure you check out the videos in the description below. So today's video was inspired by Expat Life Ghana's own video on the 10 things they like about living in Ghana. So although we haven't moved yet, there are 10 things that I really like about Abidjan. I'm just coming back from a scouting trip to Abidjan, and there are more than 10 things that I liked over there. But for the purpose of this video, I have a list of 10 things that I wanted to share with you. They are not in any specific order, and if I'm looking down, is that I'm looking at the list and not ignoring you. Okay, so let's get into those 10 things that I absolutely loved about Abidjan. Again, no particular order. First thing that I really like is that Ivorians are very welcoming to foreigners. There's a big percentage of the population in Ivory Coast that is foreigner. I think it's either a quarter or a third, something like that. But they are very, very welcoming to foreigners. So that's a big plus, something that I really appreciate as a foreigner potentially going to live there. So that's number one, very, very welcoming people. Number two, not only are they very welcoming, but they're very, very passionate. And that's something that I had a hard time with before, because they are very direct and sometimes very loud. And as an introvert and somebody who's really calm and shy, I found that very, aggressive. But I came to realize that it's really all about passion. They're very passionate. They love life and everything. And so they talk very loudly and very direct. So a lot of the things that they say, it's in an imperative way. And so it's not to give orders, but it's just that it's very direct and very loud. And somebody can say that it's aggressive, but it's just, I say it's just passion. It's very friendly, but it's very passionate. So that's the second thing that I really loved about Abidjan. In the same lines, Ivorians, number three, they love life. And I think that's general to Africa, all the countries in Africa. We love life. Like whether we have the money or not, we are enjoying life and we make the most of it. And so they know how to have a good time. So my husband is from Cameroon originally. So I would say Cameroonians are probably more party people than Ivorians. Like in Cameroon, you celebrate everything. Everything is a celebration, right? You pass the bar, it's a whole party. You just turned one, it's a whole party. You got admitted to a school, it's a whole party, right? Everything is celebratable, right? That's in Cameroon. But in Ivory Coast, the same thing. People love life. Whether they have the money or not, they're going to go and have a party and have a good time. So that's something that I absolutely love about Ivory Coast, okay? Number four, Ivory Coast is very, in terms of food, there's easy access to fresh and organic food. And I love that. That's very common in other parts of Africa as well. Not so common here in the US, because when you go to a supermarket, what you see is a very small section of organic, fresh food. And, you don't really have the open markets that you have in other countries. So that's something that I really, really like in Abidjan. It's easy access to fresh organic food, and that is really inexpensive. Going to the open door market is common. That's something that you do at least once a week, and it's not expensive to do at all. So that was number four, access to organic, good, fresh, and inexpensive food. That was number four. Number five, in the same lines, is that the food is very diverse, and there's access to all kinds of food. Ivorians love to eat. I mean, there are restaurants everywhere, and not just like Ivorian food, but all kinds of food. There's Thai food, there's Indian food, there's Lebanese food, all kinds of food. You will find it in Abidjan. So that was something that I was happily surprised about it, but they really love to eat, whether it's like high-end restaurants or middle level restaurant, or like entry-level kind of restaurant, or like a maki, like when you eat outdoors in like a bar type thing. There's food for all the budgets. So we went to different kinds of places, like to have Ivorian food, or other places to have more like fusion type of food and at a more expensive budget. And it's just all good food, very diverse, very good. And yeah, I really love that about Abidjan, the fact that you can find any kind of food that you want. So that was number 5. And it's probably related to the fact that there are a lot of foreigners and that people in Abidjan are very welcoming to other cultures. So that's probably why, one of the reasons why you have all these different kinds of food everywhere. Okay, so that was number 5. Number 6, Abidjan is very business friendly. One of the goals for me during my scouting trip was to attend a digital marketing conference. And I was very impressed. I mean, I knew just based on my research online and the people I follow on Instagram and all of that, I knew that there was a very dynamic culture of, influencers and social media presence and all of that. And seeing that in person and attending the conference and how well it was organized and all of that, that was really a good thing for me. Something, because I am in social media, in that environment for my marketing business, it was a really, really positive point for me. It was something where I knew that I wouldn't have any kind of issues integrating that environment, because it's something that I do and it's something that they do. And so it wouldn't be hard for me to talk about it, because people already know about it. So that environment where with social media, with digital marketing, is really, really common there, right? And it's thriving as well. So that was point number 6. That was point number 6, yes. Point number 7, in the same lines, there are a lot of conferences in Abidjan. It can be a little problematic because they're mostly concentrated in Abidjan instead of the other cities in Côte d'Ivoire. But in Abidjan, there are a lot of conferences, a lot of business conferences. And I think that Abidjan is the #1 destination in West Africa, for business conferences. They have a lot of great hotels, a lot of great conference spaces to host all these business conferences. So by the 10 days that I was there, I think there were at least 3 major conferences. And after that, even when I left, I saw that there were still so many conferences. So conferences about finances, conferences about social media, conferences about digital, conferences about fashion, conferences about all kinds of topics. And that is a great sign of economic growth. It's a great sign of, the potential of meeting like-minded people. So that is something that I really, really appreciate about Abidjan. That was number 7. Number 8, that's something that I shared in a previous video. It's a slower pace of life. I felt like there was there's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of people on the road, a lot of cars and everything. So it was a lot of hustle bustle on the road. But at the same time, I didn't feel rushed. I didn't feel like time was so precise and was so crucial. Sure, I was on a holiday. Sure, a lot of things were done for me, like lunch and breakfast and things like that. And I didn't have my kids with me too, so I didn't have to send them to school at a specific time and everything. But I felt like time was a lot slower. Even I was staying with my best friend, and she had to go to work, right? But she wasn't like rushing in the same way that I would rush here in the US. I felt like people will just get to work whenever they get to work, whenever they get a chance to get to work, right? It wasn't as stressful or as strict as it is here. I feel like it is here in the US. So that slower pace of life, although it can be, I don't know if it's like, again, unproductive. I think that's more of an American mindset where you feel like if you're not doing anything, you're unproductive. So I'm trying to change that in my mind and understanding that not doing doesn't mean that I'm not being productive, that I can do my work well, even if I have less time of work. So I'm trying to change that in my mind. So it's not being unproductive. It's just doing what you have to do in the less amount of time. That's how I see it. So that was number 8. Number 9, the 9th thing that I really love about Abidjan is the diverse culture. Within Côte d'Ivoire, there are so many tribes, so many people. And they celebrate that. There are a lot of cultural festivals. Like the first weekend we were there, they had the Abidjan Cultural Festival. Unfortunately, we weren't able to go there and see it. But almost every month, there is a cultural-based festival, whether it's food-based or whether it's tribe-based, ethnic-based. There's always a festival, and it's always a celebration, and everybody goes there to learn more about another culture, about the other culture, other groups, and all of that. So everybody participates and everybody celebrates. And I love that about being in Abidjan. Knowing that and witnessing that, I thought that it was pretty special. So that's something I wish we had more of here in the US, where we get to celebrate more of other cultures. But I thought within one country, the fact that they celebrate diverse ethnic groups, I thought that was awesome. Last but certainly not least, one thing that I really, really loved about Abidjan and that I saw the first day that I was there was how green the city is. There are trees everywhere. Sure, with economic growth and, you know, there's a lot of construction and all of that, so they're cutting off a lot of trees. But within the city of Abidjan, there is what they call the Parc du Banco, which is an untapped forest, basically green space within the city. And one thing that I've noticed in the city is that there's some areas, if you stay in traffic for a long time, it's very polluted, right? Because there's a lot of old vans and, you know, buses as well that run, and it's very polluting. But it feels really good to be in those, it feels good to see these green areas because they are pretty much everywhere. Everywhere you turn to the left, to the right, you're going to see trees. And it's like, it's so refreshing to see that. So that's the 10th thing that I loved about Abidjan. And I'm really looking forward to immersing myself in this culture and experiencing more of these 10 things and more. Because like I said, for the purpose of this video, I'm just doing those 10 things, just like Expat Life Ghana did for their own 10 things that they loved about living in Ghana. But there are more than 10 things that I loved about this trip, and I'm sharing some of them in other videos. I'm going to link them in the description. If you have any questions about life in Côte d'Ivoire or my visit in Côte d'Ivoire, how it was like for me, and how we are deciding on where to go, make sure you ask them in the comments and I'll get back to you. In the meantime, make sure you like this video, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the channel. That way you never miss any of our progress. Until next time.